Hello there! Welcome back everyone to Void Dwarf Studios, where we continue our look into the Lumineth for our Void Dwarf Studio Warhammer Wednesday. And this video is going to be the subject of the Lumineth's core choices. Now, obviously there is a brand new book out, which has got a couple extra additions. However, these are still the core choices for your Lumineth armies, and you're going to find them incredibly handy and useful. They are definitely going to be just as important. And whilst I'm not going to get too deep into the rules, as I currently do not possess the new book, I am going to go through what is here, as it's fairly unlikely that a lot is going to change. Starting off with the Vanari Arulan Wardens. Now, Arulan translates to luminous host in, well, I guess the equivalent of common as opposed to Elven, and its origins is steeped in the Lumineth society. Each one of these long spears is enchanted with sun metal and has basked in the light of Hyesh for centuries, allowing it to have a searing, painful, burning touch to anything that is, well, not light or not wholesome. And when these wardens call out the correct magical phrases, these spears can glow with white-hot power and make shish kebabs out of anyone unfortunate enough to charge them. And here's the thing, because of Lumineth tactics, that's more often than not, because the Lumineth love playing a tactic basically known as bait and slay. The old-fashioned Greek various style of warfare, which basically meant that you peppered the enemy with arrows and forced them to join with your shield walls, where the long pikes can, well, basically skewer anyone stupid enough to charge it. But if you want to not get hit by arrows, charging the long, spiky hedgehog shield wall is your only option, which, more often than not, is just as painful as getting peppered by arrows, quite frankly. And as these are, well, magical spears, because elves, this is going to be all kinds of painful. And even when you get close in, the Lumineth are more than capable of kicking all kinds of ass, because they are very, very talented soldiers, having trained for hundreds of years, and being very good at tight-knit formation fighting. A phalanx of Arulan Wardens is more than capable of punching through most cavalry or other forms of infantry and coming out the other side smiling. And on top of this, because of the bright light that often emanates from them due to their Hyesh lineage, even people shooting at them have a bit of a tough time, and they're wearing armour that's normally sufficient to deal with anything but the heaviest of missile fire. And in case that wasn't bad enough, the High Warden of the unit is a wizard. So you've got magical spells being pumped out of this unit as well, which, yeah, makes for a really unpleasant unit to have to fight in close quarters combat. This is an expensive unit, but definitely worth the points, as everyone's got a minimum of 2 attacks, and with a decent save, pretty okay bravery, the unit's not going to move anywhere anytime soon. And that's basically the point. Your Warden phalanxes are there to make sure that whoever you're fighting, you can pin them in one position and, well, protect your archers, because, well, that is what they are there for. Speaking of archers, they are known as the Arulan Sentinels. The Lumineth place a great deal of importance on their ranged warfare. Being able to engage the foe at the distance obviously puts you at a superior advantage. And, well, the Lumineth have turned this into a, frankly, hilarious sport when it comes to the accuracy of their arrows. Their ability to fire an arrow directly into the sun and let it fall down gracefully on top of an enemy's head is quite something to behold. And the Lumineth have been experimenting with bows and arrows for practically thousands of years at this point, and they find the most successful design is known as the triple-stringed Arkbow. Now, I'd love someone who has experience with making bows to comment on this and tell me how accurate this is. The LARPer and reenactor in me seems to suggest that this is an absolute no-no, but maybe, I guess. I have absolutely no idea. Please someone comment and let me know what you think. But anyway, in Age of Sigmar, these bows have such impressive killing power that they can essentially strike their way through practically anything that is not in some way magical armour. and the High Sentinel commanding this unit uses their Skyhawk to be able to identify particular targets of interest, with the Sentinel being able to see through the eyes of the Hawk through magical shenanigans. Because elves, elves everyone, the Sentinels take a very fierce pride in their ability to, well, hit someone square in the middle of the pupil of their eyeball whilst their eyes are closed. The level of accuracy with these elven archers is beyond ridiculous, and they're more than happy to educate anyone who doubts them. And with a current range of 30 inches when they fire their arrows as lofted, this is quite the ranged weapon. There are very, very, very few ranged weapons in Age of Sigmar that can hit at 30 inches. Most of them are around about the 28 to 24 margin. And yeah, the Lumineth having such long range obviously gives them a superior advantage when it comes to the whole shooting phase. And of course, your High Sentinel is a wizard, so there will be more spells, or counter spells, basically denying you any attempts to try and screw around with this unit. Obviously, this is an archer unit, the Sentinels are not meant to be in a combat at all. Don't do it, they have a worse save than the Wardens. But, so long as I've said, you treat the Lumineth army a lot like a classical Greek army, then you're actually in for a good time. You know, stick your phalanx at the front, have your archers in the rear, and maybe have another unit of Wardens just close by in case of some kind of flanking or counterattack rubbish. But with your next unit, you should be able to prevent and counterattack any attempts to, well, come around the sides of your lines. If, for example, you are concerned about squig hoppers just bounding around the sides of your phalanxes, and, well, that's actually a legitimate concern, as the elves, whilst having a 6-inch move, you know, squigs can move a hell of a lot faster, and there are armies that can move really fast. Lumineth have been fighting /demonettes for, well, a ridiculously long time at this point, and are used to people trying to flank around their slower units. That is what the Vanari Dawn Riders are for. The Dawn Riders go into battle on beautiful stallions native to their Zintalian plains. Having formed a close kinship with their horse, these elves are instinctive when it comes to manoeuvring with their mounts. Rider and steed are, well, practically bonded in an almost spiritual sense, as every rider will name their steed, and the name will come from some source of inspiration or conscious thought that passes through their heads when, well, meditating with their mount. On the field of battle, Dawn Riders are ridiculously fast, and as you're dealing with a Greek hoplite phalanx type formation, where having some way to counterattack any flanking maneuvers could mean the difference between life and death, Dawn Riders happily make up this difference, wielding their beautiful sunmetal lances, carrying beautiful shields, and channeling their ether quartz reserves that they all keep on them just in case. The tips of these lances, much like the Wardens, become white hot when the correct word is spoken, and make them basically skewer anything and everything that tries to get around. The Dawn Riders really are your answer to anyone who decides it's a smart idea to move around this flank. You're kind of buggered, honestly. If the Lumineth have everything go their way, this classic tactic of, well, pinning you against their spiky spear units whilst peppering them with arrows, and forcing it so that if you do decide to take the bait, you will be countercharged by Dawn Riders, and if you try to flank, then you'll be countercharged by phalanx units. Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful combination. And guess what? The Steedmaster, the champion for the unit, is of course, say it with me now, a wizard. Meaning that if you wanted to deny an enemy from casting spells, chase a unit of Dawn Riders in their general direction, and have the Steedmaster basically ride up to the unfortunate fellow, wave their finger in disapproval as they butcher them with their guardian sword. Lumineth Core Units are no joke. Even though perhaps on the surface they may look quite simplistic as far as tactics go, simple tactics often are effective tactics. There is a reason why Greeks, Romans, and ancient civilizations who used phalanx-type formations did really, really well for a ridiculously long period of time. And when you throw magic into the mix, because every single one of these units can say to magic, that's just terrifying, I'm just gonna say. I mean, I played dwarves in Age of Sigmar, and well, whilst I don't tend to cast many spells, the ones I do cast I kinda need to get off, and yeah, that's having that much anti-magic around is frankly frustrating as all hell. But I cannot deny that these core units really are beautiful. They are an absolute beautiful army. And, well, it's kind of fitting of the successors to the High Elves that they would look as gorgeous as they do. GW definitely knocked these ones out of the park. I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction to the Lumineth core units. Please put a little like down below, subscribe to see future videos, and if you're feeling charitable, please check out the Patreon page, as through financial means is greatly appreciated, as it means I can hopefully get to do more of this in the future. Thank you all very much for listening, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Until next time, take care everyone.